I'm Michael Fox, and this is the Prospector Podcast. And we are live on location at the New Orleans Investor Conference. It is the 50th anniversary of the Gold Show. So a golden anniversary for a gold show, and it's also the longest running precious metals conference in the world. And Brian has done an outstanding job again this year. And the joy of it all is I get to sit down in front of people and have these conversations instead of doing it over a computer. And I'm sitting across from Maura Kolb, the president of Dryden Gold, and I'm happy to get an update about what they're doing. Welcome to the show, Maura.
Thanks so much for having me.
It's a pleasure. I've been excited about this. You guys have started working with us back in Beaver Creek, but you were already popping up on my radar prior to that. But for our listeners that haven't heard about Dryden Gold, let's give them a quick overview of what you are, who you are, what you're doing.
So Dryden Gold is a junior explorer. We're looking for high-grade gold. We're in a fantastic neighborhood. We're just south of the Red Lake camp where the Great Bear discovery was, and just north of the Rainy River mine. So it's a really great gold belt, gold camp. We have incredible infrastructure. The Trans-Canada Highway runs right through the property. We have a huge land package, 70,000 hectares. And we have historic mining on the property from the turn of the century, really high grades. Our highest one on the property is 53,000 grams per ton, over half a meter. So we know we've got all the smoke. This area has never been explored systematically. It's always been really piecemeal. We've done a great job putting this large package together, and now we're starting to understand the controls of the high grade and deliver more high grade results through the drill bit.
Yeah, that's the thing that really attracted me to this was the fact that it hadn't been explored properly and that it was such a large land package with multiple opportunities on it. Let's dive into how you were able to bring all this packaging together.
Well, it hasn't been a quick process. The company started privately about 2.5 years ago now, and it was just piecing the parts together. So 2 big option agreements were really what pulled most of it together. And then from that, we've been strategically watching what we think is the high grade control is a structure that goes from the northeast to the southwest part of the property. And we've been looking for any prospectors or deals that we could piece together the rest of this. So we want to really have all of those structural traps in our portfolio. So it's been a lot of piecemeal, a lot of little purchases and tracking down the prospectors and such.
Yeah, but it's been a worthwhile venture because I think the sum of all those pieces is going to be greater than the whole actually is. So, as I say, it's exciting. You've done a lot of exploration work on the site to pick out where to drill and where to look for your targets. You guys have utilized some AI on this, which I found fascinating. Explain how that came about being and how that's helped you identify the targets that you have drilled just recently, and how that's pictured your thoughts on the project.
Oh, absolutely. So I'm a really big believer that using everything at our disposal is what we should do to make exploration discoveries quicker and more easily. So we have excellent geophysical coverage over the entire property, 50-meter spacing from top to bottom of this huge land package. So with that data set, you really can't analyze it all yourself. So that's why we've used, we've worked with Goldspot and we've worked with Mira Geoscience most recently, using that data to create a 3D model, 3D inversion. And that comes up with targets based on the known high grades and others that look similar. It's worked really well. So we have kind of 3 main target areas, the Gold Rock camp being the most advanced where it had actual historic mining. And I loved the process because we got a model and then we started to see the targets were popping up over the known deposits, but then several others along strike and other areas where we could use our geologic hat and say, oh, well, that does make sense. There's a intersection between 2 faults. That's always a good trap for gold. These targets are making sense. So it's nice to be able to use all these different tools.
Yeah, no, definitely. Now, you used those, you did your exploration work, and you got a number of drill targets, and you've just started to drill. You just wrapped up your fall drill program, I believe. How many drill targets did you were able to explore with this program? how deep, and then let's talk about results after that.
Yeah, well, I'll bring it back a little bit. So we became public in January, and we started with a phased approach to drilling. So now we're actually on our 6th campaign that we're actually doing right now. The drills are turning. When I left Dryden, we were just getting ready to ramp up and do about 4 holes on what we're calling the Elora target. So on Gold Rock, there are 3 parallel structures that are mineralized with either veining or shear posted disseminated golds and sulfides. What we focused on is trying to expand the overall system where there had been historic results in the past. We wanted to see if they pushed to the north, if pushed to the south, and see how big the gold system could be. Really successful with that in our first program to see that the mineralizing fluid continued. From there, we started to test the high-grade controls on the gold mineralization. In these Archean type of systems, gold isn't everywhere. You have your host vein or your host structure, but you need to figure out where the gold is going to pool within that. So it was really important to us to get what we call oriented core, so we can get the true structural measurements on the veins, on the gold-bearing structures themselves. So we did that. And then from there, we started testing new targets that were based on the new understandings of the high-grade controls. And we hit new result of 26 grams per ton over 3 meters, which was pretty exciting on our first program. And we've been following that up. So on Elora, our most recent result was about 30 grams over 3 meters. So we're starting to be able to show we can find high grade consistently.
That's and it's near the surface too, which is the other part of this that gets really exciting.
Yeah, so we're very lucky to be able to be drilling these holes that our average hole length so far has been about 150 meters. We're testing our deepest targets now on Elora, and the drill holes are still only about 300 meters deep. So we're really laughing and lucky to be able to start exploring for high grade so close to surface. These type of systems often go really deep. And I think this one will as well, but we're able to do our exploration pretty inexpensively by drilling close to the surface.
Yeah. Now let's go back to cobbling all this together. How did this whole area get missed? This is the mystery that I have out of all of this, that you're lucky to have the opportunity that you have presented to you.
It's a bit crazy. And, when I first got to meet with Rob McEwen and pitched this story to him, he actually held part of this ground with Goldcorp. And he said, oh, I love this target, but I think it's really because it's always been piecemeal ownership. It's never been a large land package like Dryden Gold has put together, that it hasn't been explored systematically. So there's a little program here, a little program there, but no one's had the opportunity to look at the entire district and say, these are the targets, this is how they rank in order, what we should go after first, and then start applying the structural controls to the whole camp. And that's something we've had the opportunity to do.
Yeah, well, now you believe that you actually have a district play here.
I think so. I mean, when I first joined the company, we did a reconnaissance program just to get out on the entire 70,000 hectares and kind of boots on the ground, see what rocks were there, see if they match the maps, and try to make sense of what we could have. One of the exciting targets from that was on the far east end of our property. We call it Hindman. And we actually ended up expanding that property more than double through staking earlier this year. We hit 4 samples. We had 3 of them over 10 grams per ton, the highest being 13 grams per ton. And that was just off the side of the road. We did the same process with the AI on that target, and we got 5 other similar targets that popped up, and we've just done field work and wrapped that up there in October. We're lucky to have a long fall this year. So we actually are starting to get results back from our field campaign too. So I do believe we have a district play, and we're starting to see that using the understanding we've gotten from Gold Rock to test these other targets that are more further afield.
Perfect. Now, as Rick Rule likes to say, we need to find answers to the unanswered questions. So given the exploration, the AI, and the drilling that's done to date, what are the next questions that need to be answered? And what is the company plans going forward to find those answers?
I think the biggest question for us is, where is the big gold deposit? We have all of the smoke. If you look at the property from top to bottom, there are high grade hits along that whole shear zone. So we've been working with several different experts, expert mappers, experts that have done their research on this area. And we've been putting together a thesis of where the mother lode will be. And as we piece together all of the clues, I feel like we're just detectives here putting it together, and then we're getting closer and closer to that, solving the murder mystery of where the gold really is hanging out in this system. So that's the unanswered question that I'm hoping to solve here in the near future.
And how confident are you that you've got it kind of narrowed down a little bit?
I'm pretty confident as we continue to understand the gold that we know about and why it's there. It's really enlightening us to what structures are the best fruit bearing, the ones that have been the plumbing system for all this gold to come in. Yep. And then we see all these other similar traps and where they can be the most interesting. Gold is funny. It likes to be where the rocks are kind of the most messed up. It's my simple way of explaining it. But that's what we've been looking for. We've done kind of every layer from the AI, put all the boots on the ground. So we had one of my favorite field mappers out there sleeping in a tent in the heart of the Gold Rock camp so he could be out there every day and understanding those little structural changes and interplays. And we've got some really good targets from that work. So all of that field work is coming back as we speak and starting to get the details of the geochemistry coupled with the geophysics and, of course, the gold results themselves.
Yeah. Now, you said drills are turning as we speak. When will those results come about likely?
Well, we'll see them, I believe, January, early February. So kind of as things are ramping back up after Christmas, we'll start to get those results in. With that program, we're targeting down dip on the Elora project, the Elora target that we've recently released the results for. So these will be the deepest holes we've drilled. It's pretty exciting that we're starting to say, okay, we can step out a bit further. We're stepping out 50 meters from high grade that we know about and really testing our plunge controls.
Is the next drill program already planned for, or are we waiting for the results of this one to know what the next one's going to look like?
We're waiting for the results on this one. We want to see the results also from the field program. As I said, we had some pretty interesting targets come out of that. We are working with the local communities on permitting both more advanced structures on Gold Rock, but also these early stage targets. We've started speaking with them on what those drill programs might look like if they're fruitful. So I'm certainly always ranking and rating based on the new data that's coming in. If we're getting good results, it makes sense to keep following that up. But it's always better, I think, to tweak your plan based on the newest information you're getting.
That part of the world, are you able to drill year round, or are we to a point where we're going to get a winter breakup soon?
We are lucky that we can drill year round. We have enough high ground and enough road infrastructure that we can get in. It's a little bit wet right now, so it's a little slower going. It's nice to wait for freeze up, and I was watching the weather, and we're starting to get those cold snaps are coming in, so the ground will be frozen here soon, which does make it easier to get in and out. So we're really lucky, though, with the excellent infrastructure. This isn't helicopters dropping off the drill. We just drive the pickup truck right to the site.
Yeah, every time I hear stories like that, I go, yeah, geologists are just different people than me. Here you are going, I can't wait for freeze up. It's just I'm going like, oh my God, it's going to be freeze up soon.
Well, it's hard when we're here in New Orleans and the weather's been amazing and wearing a short sleeve shirt outside when I just came from basically winter.
Yeah, wonderful. So we're looking at another drill program in the spring. Is it funded, or is you having to come back to the market again to look for more funding to move the company forward through the next stages?
It's funded. We had some really exciting, I would say, just like energy this fall. So when we were in Beaver Creek, we started telling the story, all the things we've learned and how we figure we really understand the high grade controls and can start to deliver it. And we were able to raise $5 million. So we're funded into the new year. We will be drilling again at the end of, we're planning January, late January, that's kind of the second half. And we'll go again with phased approaches. So we're doing about 1,000 meters right now. We're going to do another similar small between 1,500 to 2,000 meters. And we'll just keep going like that so that we can apply everything we learned, get the new results, and tweak and make sure those drill holes can be targeted in the best possible way.
That's exciting. It's got the news staggered out just nicely. You'll have some news in time for the Vancouver Resource Conference, and then it sounds like this drill program and news will be ready in time for PDAC, and then so on and so on. So it's a good plan and it's well thought out. If people are excited, as I am, about following this story, because this is an exciting story, how would they do so, Maura?
Well, you can follow us on our website, drydengold.com. I also do a lot of videos trying to explain what the results mean. And so we're constantly putting out YouTube videos to kind of show our geologic story and what's going on here on the ground. So we'll watch us on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram, all of those things.
Yeah, I would highly recommend those YouTube videos, people. Maura is very good at explaining geology, like you're a 2-year-old, like I am, when it comes to this stuff. So it makes it very accessible for people who aren't geologists. So I would recommend it. It's a good education as well as good information.
Thank you.
So until the new year, when we get more results, look forward to it. And it's been good seeing you in person. And I'm looking forward to the next time, because every time I sit down with you, I get more exciting news off this project.
Thank you. It's been great to talk to you.
Dryden Gold is a paid sponsor of the Prospector News. The host owns shares and warrants in Dryden Gold bought at the market for investment purposes. The Prospector News podcast is for educational purposes only. The opinions expressed are those of the participants and are not to be taken as investment advice. Listeners need to do their own due diligence and seek advice of a licensed investment advisor.